Hello, everyone. In the month of March, we celebrate B Corp Month, and that's why we are meeting today because we wanted to take the opportunity to join together as B Corp companies and present the world a community of four impactful businesses who take action and work together in collaborative efforts to transform the economic system, the way we do business, and the coffee industry in a world that definitely can use more good than harm, and in an industry where we need more awareness and action, we're happy to welcome four companies that go beyond business as usual to this conversation. We want to show the world that there's a better way to do business. For those who may be unfamiliar, B Corps are a group of for profit businesses that prioritize social and environmental impact alongside profit. These companies use their business as a force of good, addressing some of the world's most pressing issues while also pursuing financial success. Today, we have the pleasure of hearing from four inspiring B Corps, all related to coffee in some way, each of which has a unique story to share about their journey to becoming B Corp and the impact that they have been able to make throughout the years. I hope that by the end of this time together today, you'll have a better understanding of our impact of being a B Corp and how these four companies are making real difference in the world. So without further ado, let's get started. I'd love the speakers to introduce themselves. Um, so if you don't mind, let's go from farm to cup. So let's start with Carlos from Caravelle.
Isabel, thank you for having me here. It's an honor. It's humbling to be with this guest and making sure that we all speak the same language about B Corp. So Caravella is a vertically integrated company. We've been around since the early 2000s, and we have a very unique model, which is having our own operations at origin, our own import companies, and making sure we work hand in hand with like-minded roasters and like-minded farmers to produce the best coffee over and over and over again. We've been doing this since 2001. We currently have 11 companies, four in what we call destination markets, and seven other companies in exporting countries, in which what we do is work hand in hand with the farmers, trying to inspire those communities and provide a market access that values their high-end product, while on the other end, finding like-minded roasters who believe in this cause, who are also inspired by not only quality, but also the long-term sustainability. That some cases are willing to not just use those buzzwords that you hear out there, but walk the talk. Make sure that they build long-term commitments, that they value quality and they value the impact that their purchases are doing throughout a community of farmers, a community of employees, and a community in these seven different countries. So just a very brief intro from Cravella, and very, very happy to be here. We're going to be celebrating our 10th anniversary as a B Corp next year in 2024. So we're very, very proud of this journey. And also very proud to share that since 2015, we've won Best of the World and among multiple categories as a B Corp. So thank you for having me. And again, very honored to be sharing this panel with the rest of you.
Thank you, Carlos. So then this coffee travels and arrives to the roasting, one of the most delicate and critical parts of the chain of events leading to a great cup of coffee. So I pass the word to Shauna from Stumptown Coffee.
Great. Thank you so much. I echo Carlos's appreciation for being here. It's pretty exciting to be on this call and actually be able to think about the coffee that Caravella so carefully sources in partnership with producers that we buy and that we roast here and that we sell to new seasons and at new seasons. Coffees, like there's tangible examples like our Hairbender, which is our signature espresso blend and one of our best-selling coffees, typically has some coffee from Caravella in it all year long. Our Columbia regionals as well that you can see on shelf at New Seasons have Caravella coffee in them, typically all year round. And of course, a lot of people are drinking them out of Mir mugs, and we partner with Mir as well for all of our merchandise that we sell in our own cafes. So it is pretty cool to see the presence of these coffees in all of these companies, at least from where I sit. So it's exciting to be here. My name is Shauna Alexander. My title is Vice President of Coffee and Sustainability at Stumptown Coffee Roasters. I've been here about 5.5 years now. I've been in the industry for longer than I care to be specific about, but it's been a while, and it's been great to be at Stumptown. I joined in 2018, which was actually the same year that Stumptown received its first B Corp certification. So when I arrived, the rigorous process to achieve B Corp certification was already underway. And so I just got to kind of bask in the excitement when we received notification that we had qualified as a B Corp. Stumptown was founded in 1999 here in Portland, Oregon. So we've been around for now almost 23 years. We sell our coffees across multiple channels. So we have a roastery here in Portland, Oregon. We also have a roastery in New York City, and we sell our coffee in our own cafes, in a lot of grocery stores across the country. But New Seasons really was our inaugural grocery store customer, and to this day, despite the fact that we're in more than 5,000 grocery stores nationwide, New Seasons is extremely important to us, particularly here in our backyard in Portland, Oregon, in this region. And we sell online and in many wholesale accounts around the country. So we've grown a lot and over the past couple decades, but one thing that has stayed constant has been the type of sourcing that Stumptown helped pioneer, which we call direct trade. We were one of a handful of companies in the early 2000s that coined that phrase and started working directly with farmers in truly transparent, traceable supply chains to ensure that the payments that we're making for high quality coffee make it back to the farm, make it back to farm level. That is critical for coffee quality, because we want to be incentivizing and rewarding producers for growing and processing super high quality coffees. And it also has a very strong social impact at the family level, at the farm level, and the community level. Caravella was the first company that we reached out to when we said, hey, we'd like to measure our impact at farm level. We had talked about it and observed it all over the world for many years, but we didn't have any data. And so it speaks to the strength of Caravella as one of our partners and also as a company on their own, that they were the first ones we reached out to say, hey, can we take a look at what our actual impact is? And we did the first impact report ever with Caravella, with a group of farmers from that's called El Jordan Group in Tolima, Colombia, back in 2019. So I'll stop talking, but that's an example of collaborating with another B Corp and really getting real about the impacts we were having and how we can do better.
Thank you, Shauna. That's inspiring. And then we go with New Seasons, where you can find freshly roasted, great tasting coffee beans. So Athena, please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for including New Seasons in this exciting conversation about B Corps and coffee and how we can all work together in partnership to create a better and more just future for ourselves and for our children. And also happy B Corp month. Just really excited to be celebrating all of the amazing companies out there who are really putting their actions and their investments where they say they are. So excited to be part of this conversation. My name is Athena Petty. I lead sustainability and the B Corp practice at New Seasons Market. Lots of parallels as I'm listening to each of you speak about your journeys. So New Seasons is just turned 23 years old. So we were founded in 2000 here in Portland, Oregon. And 10 years ago, we received our first ever B Corp certification. So we were the first B Corp certified grocer on earth, and we are very, very excited to be part of this community. We've learned so much from other B Corps, both nationally and internationally. So happy to be here with you all, and can't wait to further this conversation to help describe how these really deep and long-term partnerships can help really change and shift supply chains. And not only in the supply chain upstream, but also what we do together to help inform our customers about why the work that we are doing is better for them and for the planet, and how when we work together in concert on projects and initiatives, we can do more and create more of that impact that Shauna just described a couple of minutes ago. So thrilled to be part of the conversation, and thanks for having me.
Thank you, Tina, and congratulations on 10th anniversary, officially 10th anniversary of being a B Corp. And who doesn't have one of these and carry it literally everywhere? So Devin, please introduce yourself and Mir.
Thank you, Mary Isabel. And echoing all the same gratitudes, it's really exciting and also very nerve-wracking to be on the call with such industry legacies and B Corp royalty. So super eager to be a part of this conversation. My name is Devin Richardson, and I am the Senior Impact Manager at Mir. Our impact encompasses our people, our commitment to environmental responsibility, and then our generosity or our employee or our corporate grants program. And so I oversee the grants program and then some of our corporate environmental responsibility initiatives. Mir's been in business since I think 2010 or 2011, and we've been a B Corp since 2014. So we're also coming up on our almost 10-year anniversary as being a B Corp. We're based in Seattle, Washington, and we create, as you saw, stainless steel vessels for bar, wine, food, but most importantly, and definitely our largest market, coffee. Mir was founded around this idea that business and philanthropy don't have to be separate. And our founders were really passionate about merging the two. And so since day one, we've been giving anywhere from 1% to 5% of top line revenue back towards organizations that uplift both people and planet. And we're really excited to be on this call because the last couple of years, we've really identified that the coffee market and small to medium-sized coffee businesses are essentially our bread and butter. They're the reason that we're in business. And so we focused a lot of our grant making and giving and intention and energy back into the community in the form of grants to organizations supporting smallholder coffee farmers. And so I'll be totally honest, I'm totally new to the coffee space and I'm learning a lot as I go. But we're really excited to be doubling down on our impact in the coffee world and having this conversation about B Corps with other really powerful B Corps, because partnership is sort of our bread and butter. We have a really beautiful D2C website, but a majority of our business comes through business partners like yourselves, and we really see ourselves as like a service or a supporter of other businesses when they co-brand on our product, and we're able to help them sort of pursue their mission. So yeah, really eager to be here and excited to have this conversation.
Cool.
Devin.
Devin, if you want to get a really quick study on supporting smallholder farmers, you can check out Caravella's sustainability and impact reports and ours and Sumtown sustainability and impact reports, because there's a lot of rich information there on how to do that.
I definitely will. I've seen both of them and I refer to them frequently.
So, Athena, New Seasons being the world's first B Corp grocery store, please tell us why did you decided to pursue B Corp, and what does B Corp mean for the company and for you?
So as I mentioned before, New Seasons became a B Corp in 2013, which was about 3 years before I started with the company. But what I can tell you is that, as a company that was sort of founded on our mission by a group of families in the Portland area who realized that connections between farmers and eaters was their focus. and that creating that sense of community through good food was the primary sort of mission, and that without a healthy, resilient, sustainable food economy, you can't have that kind of a connection. And so the mission has just always really been baked into the DNA of New Seasons. And I think a lot of companies say that. And one way to sort of go beyond saying that is to partner with B Corp and get a certification from a third party, an outside provider, to say, this notion of a triple bottom line company is especially now, 23 years later, something that you hear regularly, whether or not there's any sort of teeth behind it or not. And we really see B Corp as being a mechanism for us to be able to provide proof points on the work that we're doing, as being an audited B Corp that has gone through a number of B Corp assessments, and we continue to have to push our company. So I think that was sort of the primary original reason that B Corp became really important to us. And then over time, it's changed a little bit, right? So our staff are some of the most dedicated and well-informed people that I've ever met. And for them, being able to have conversations within our community to our customers about why they should shop at New Seasons and support local producers and smallholder farmers. The B Corp message also just really supports those messages between the customer and our staff. And so it's a really helpful, again, proof point for them. For me, as someone who has to, go through the rigor of actually completing the B impact assessment, I really feel like the B Corp community as a whole is one of the best teachers that I've ever met. I learn so much when I have coffee and meetings with Shauna, when I go to Champions Retreats and get to sit with kind of thought leaders in a variety of different, categories of the B impact assessment. And also the B impact assessment, changes and gets harder over time, which is also a really important and hard teacher for us to learn from. We're always pushing. We always want to become better. We want to give back more. We want to be there for our customers. We want to be the best grocery store to work at. And it's helpful sort of understanding what the best looks like so that you can work towards it. So that's very helpful for me as a practitioner in this space. And, I will also say that without the B Corp community, these sort of really deep one-on-one partnerships, I don't think would be as available to us. We have been able to just make some amazing partnerships and create some really innovative and cool projects that have a deep impact. And, I think when you can create those kinds of mutually beneficial partnerships, that the impact in the supply chain is just so much more expanded. And so that's been a really helpful part of this process as well. So we are super proud to be a B Corp. It is a wonderful community. And, I think that the more people who know about what B Corps are, the better. So I'm excited that we're continuing to help share some language and some examples of what it means to be different and be a B Corp company.
Nina, do you mind sharing with us some examples of projects or partnerships you have developed that have had great impact on the community, on the staff, on the the suppliers of the products that you sell?
Yeah, for sure. Of course, I'm super focused right now because it's B Corp month and next month is Earth month. And so there's a whole bunch of really exciting things happening as we speak. So we have been, leading in terms of our employer efforts around wages and in terms of benefits, and have been awarded a number of times in terms of making sure that we're advancing sort of the worker element of our business in a way that is, sort of best in class in grocery. And that comes up over and over again in a really difficult market. And frankly, the pandemic really had a huge impact on all of us. And in retail grocery, it was some of the hardest years that we had ever seen, and continues to kind of have an impact on our spaces. So really proud of the work that we've done there. Also really excited about some of the advocacy work that we've been able to do in partnership with some other B Corps, especially around both federal and statewide climate legislation in the last couple of years, coming together with like-minded businesses to stand up and get our voices out there to our legislators and make sure that they understand how committed businesses are to creating a safe and resilient climate and food economy. That work has been extremely meaningful. And I think, we've just learned a lot in that process in terms of how to advocate and where to show up. And sometimes it can be, it's a lot to sort of understand how to make an impact there. So that's been huge. Some of the work that we're doing right now in the supply chain, I'm really excited about, because we've got a pretty big focus on how to support regenerative agriculture as a retailer. And, we see sort of our position as a unique one in that we are storytellers. We have our customers in a space where they're excited to sit and walk through our stores and taste and learn about how the products that we're putting in front of them are doing better for the land, that they're sequestering carbon, that they're really understanding the importance of biodiversity. And so we have a couple of partnerships that are forthcoming next month that are really focused on creating partnerships on both sort of integrating regenerative grains, and also we'll be partnering with another B Corp. I'm not saying the name right now on purpose because this is all sort of news, but just on a planting project where we'll be planting some trees and some shrubs on some dairy land in the fall, and we're really excited about some of the biodiversity impacts of that project coming up as well. Let's see, from a social and community perspective, New Seasons has had a number of partnerships with close to, I think, 100 community organizations, and we recently reached a $1 million threshold where, since 2016, we donated $1 million out to our Bag It Forward partners, which are partners that receive funds each quarter, 5 cents at a time. So every time you bring your own reusable bag as a customer into our stores, we donate 5 cents to these community partners, and we've reached $1 million. These community partners are really focused on reducing hunger, environmental justice, and education. And so we're thrilled to be able to really be focused on those efforts in our community to help build up the parts of our community who really need the most support. And so I think those are a few good examples, and I'll think of some more and bring them up in a bit, but I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, those are great. Congratulations. And I invite everyone to stay tuned to the upcoming announcements and projects by New Seasons. Thank you. And after New Seasons becoming B Corp, same year, Mir and Caravella became B Corp in 2014. So I'm gonna start with Devin. Why did Mir decided to pursue B Corp, and what does B Corp mean to you?
Yeah. So I've only been with Mir for maybe 2.5 years, and I don't want to put words in our founder's mouth, but my perception is that Mir has always felt really aligned to partners. Again, we see ourselves as a strong brand partner, and that's sort of why we're in business. And so if I had to guess, the company at the time felt really strongly about aligning with other really strong mission-aligned brands in the space, and pursuing the certification that was so integral to their business models. So outside of the coffee world, for example, Patagonia was one of our first big customers, and we've taken a lot of pages out of their book in a lot of different ways. And so, again, the power of this collective action, or just being surrounded by like-minded brands, led us to our certification in the first place. But also echoing the sentiments of everyone else, we've always been really strongly committed to both the well-being of people and planet. We've always been sort of progressive or forward-thinking in the way that we've done business, but we do see transparency and accountability as a really powerful tool. And so B Corp felt like the one certification that really had a lot of weight behind it. Just having gone through the certification, it's really rigorous. To your point, Mary Isabel, it changes every year. And so, it felt it felt really compelling to us to be able to tell a story and then back it up with the certification as proof. As far as what it means to us, it means so many different things. Like I mentioned earlier, since Mir's inception, we've been really committed to giving back and showing that you can be both profitable and really invested in community. And so we've been issuing trust-based grants for as long as I can remember since the business has started. And so we feel we always have stuff to learn in every category, but we felt really dialed in sort of the corporate giving space. And so B Corp, at least for the last 2 or 3 years, has really meant honing in again on our people practices, recognizing that our employees are the reason that we're in business, and part of the reason that we do business to provide opportunities for them, to provide a sense of purpose. And as Athena mentioned, COVID was an eye-opener for us in a lot of different ways, but more than anything, it reinforced our commitment to provide our people with a positive and purpose-driven work environment. So yeah, to us as of late, the theme has been really reinvesting back in our people, and we feel so grateful to B Corp and the rigor behind the certification, because it paints a really clear picture of where we have room to innovate and improve, where our hotspots are, and more than just a certification body or like an accountability tool. It provided us with a really powerful internal learning tool to be able to identify where we weren't excelling as much as we would like to, and sort of take it to the powers that be to influence how much time, energy, resources we put into investing back into our people. So it's been a really, really powerful internal tool. And more than anything, we just love the partnership that has come with it and the ability to collaborate with like-minded brands in a number of different ways.
Great, thank you. Indeed, B Corp is one of the best continuous improvement tools out there to always consistently see where are the gaps to improve. Devin, do you mind sharing with us what are some examples of what makes Mir go above and beyond in terms of people and how like you put so many efforts on the people you work with?
Yeah. I report directly into our senior vice president of people and impact, and I don't have a hand in a lot of the work we do with our employees, but I will do my best to represent her and all the effort she's put in to people in the last couple of years. Again, we're constantly iterating and evolving, and we won't claim to have been the most people-forward company for our entire existence. We've always put our people first, but again, we've really doubled down in the last couple of years. Namely, we've been focusing a lot on empowering our employees to really hone their craft and find opportunities for them for professional development and to learn a little bit more about their role and how to lean into the parts of their role that they like the most, and again, sort of iterate and hone those parts of their jobs. As far as like perks and benefits go, it's been a game changer, but we in the last 2 years have implemented unlimited time off, which I think in the tech context has had some repercussions, but our leadership really practices what they preach and really reinforce the importance of rest and play in not only like business performance and health, but employee performance and health. And so we have really, really flexible and really liberal time off policies and family leave policies. And we've just been working really hard to make sure that everyone across the organization, no matter their background, their family status, like whatever identifiers they identify with, feel supported and feel aligned to the work that we're doing. And are taking care of their personal physical health before coming to work. And that's just become really clear over the last couple of years. And then this year, I think we're really focused on, again, professional development and leadership development and growth. We're sort of a medium-sized company, but sometimes it can feel like a small sort of startup-y environment. And so We have a lot of people that are green in their careers, and we want them to feel supported as we continue to scale. Yeah, I think I did that. I think I did that one justice. I wish my boss Tiffany was here. She would be much more eloquent in talking about it. But yeah, that's just where we've been focusing a majority of our energy during this time, and we're really excited to continue to iterate and build programs to support our people, because we've seen an immense amount of like business growth, but also personal and professional growth in the last couple of years.
Great, thank you. Carlos, tell us a bit more about why Carvela decided to pursue B Corp, and what does it mean for you in Carvela?
Well, thank you, Marisabel, for that. And everything I've been hearing is so inspiring and makes so much sense when we also talk about coffee. So, Carvela works with about 4,000 smallholder farmers in Latin America. And coffee is a pretty unique product, and it's almost a miracle, and I've said this many times, that cup of coffee you drink every morning ends up being here and you being able to drink it every single day, because there's so much people touching that product before it reaches your mug or your cup or your mirror, that it's almost a miracle that it exists. From farmers being in very remote places, from where they have to deliver the coffee, the amount of labor and pickers that get involved in working with smallholder farmers, milling that coffee, cleaning it up, shipping it, importing, delivering it to great companies like Stumptown, and finally getting it roasted and on a mirror so you can drink it. It's so many things that can go wrong, but despite that, every single day we're kind of blessed to have access to the best coffees out in the world. So just kind of paraphrasing what the B Corp like interdependence declaration comes from, coffee is a product that relies on us being dependent upon each other. So Carvela understood that very early in our history, 20 years ago, when we said, okay, delivering the best coffees in the world is so difficult, relies on so many people. So if we're already doing this on a day-to-day, why don't we make it a statement? Why don't we get certified and we tell to the world that, hey, coffee is a product in which we are dependent upon each other. And therefore, and again, paraphrasing B Corp Interdependence Declaration, we are responsible for each other's and future generations. Even if that means taking difficult decisions, making sure that we are not just thinking of the bottom line of tomorrow, but of the future of the business for the next 5 or 10 years. And there are so many pressures every single year, coffee, that's why you never get bored, and economic cycles. But despite that, being true to that nature of, hey, we want to be here for the long run, and all of these people and all of these companies that make that cup of coffee get to your house every day rely on that long-term ship and on that long-term partnership and on that commitment to enhancing and showcasing that effort. So for Carvela, it was almost a perfect fit. Coffee is a multi-year product. A farmer doesn't plant coffee to harvest it 6 months later. If you're lucky, 2 years later, you'll get the first fruit. So you're always having to think of that long-term view. Usually the trees are highly productive by year 4, year 5. So how can we make sure we find like-minded roasters, like-minded farmers who are willing to go that extra mile and build that support network that can help coffee be better in the long run?
So Carlos, Carvela has been best for the world in the community section category and lately in the workers category. What would you say is what makes Carvela most proud about going above and beyond in any of these two categories, community and or workers?
Okay, so maybe we can again talk about like best for the world workers. In 2022 and 2021, it was the first time that we got that recognition within the best of the world category. And we said like, hey, this might seem obvious. Our employees seem happy, they're well rewarded, but we kind of dig in deeper in what do our workers need. And in the 7 countries that we work in, the labor environment and the labor laws are very, very different. You all are very familiar. It's been in the news for a few years now. Immigration, for example, in Central America. We have hundreds of employees in the pig harvest in Nicaragua. So how do we create an environment where they want to continue working with us? How do we create an environment where the Guatemalan, Central American, or even Colombian employees are not looking to just immigrate for a best life? And a big acceptance of that process is, okay, we've been very proud of saying, hey, we always pay minimum wage for entry-level employees. If an entry-level employee and it's a minimum wage labor, traditionally they will get minimum wage payments. We said, okay, we need to kind of start changing that chip and ensure that every single employee, even at the entry level, even at the most basic job within Caravella, gets at least minimum living wage for their own regions, for their own cities. And that was like a major breakthrough even internally, because that meant in some cases paying 100% more, 200% more. Nicaragua is a perfect example where living wage versus minimum wage is over 100% difference. But you say, you know what, let's again walk the talk, and if we think that our employees are so important for that end product to reach at the quality that, for example, Stumptown needs, we need to make sure we reduce our turnover, that employees stay, especially in all of these communities that are usually underserved. So that is just a very key example of how, for example, workers are benefiting from that B Corp commitment. And that goes back not only to our employees, but even the pickers. If a farmer knows that for a higher end quality is going to get paid a higher end price for their coffee, that also allows them to go down their own supply chain and say, hey, pickers, I am willing to pay 20, 30, 40, 50% more for your job because one, it's more difficult, higher quality, higher reward. And secondly, I want you to come every harvest to pick coffee from my farm now that I have invested in training you and supporting you so that we can continue building that long-term commitment from the picker up to the roaster and hopefully up to the consumer.
Shauna, please share with us why did Stumptown decided to pursue B Corp and what does it mean for you and Stumptown to be a B Corp?
Okay. Well, I hear echoes of many of the same themes, hearing all of you talk about why your own companies decided to pursue B Corp. So at Stumptown, sustainability and how we work with farmers and our community engagement, our employee engagement, these had always been things that were very important to our own employees, to our customers, to our community. But frankly, we were not well organized around tracking what we did, and at a certain point you need to have, I think, Athena spoke to this, you need to have a framework and also an external validation of some kind to have people have confidence that what you're saying isn't just, fluff, but rather actually meaningful and does represent impact. So B Corp gave us the opportunity to get better organized, look at our actual impact, and then be on a path of continuous improvement. I think, Marisabel, you said it's a really great continuous improvement tool. And so, I think that what you measure happens. So it enabled us to look at where do we actually want to focus our efforts? How are we doing? Do we have blind spots? Because when you start to really dig in on all of the different categories, you're like, why are we not doing that? Like we say, why are we not buying recycled paper products? Post-consumer recycled paper products. Why haven't we done that yet? Just as a small example, and then be like, oh, well, that's what we're doing. And a week later, it enables you to take these small steps that add up to a more rigorous view of what we're doing. So it allowed us to get better at what we do, identify blind spots, and continue on a path on all different. So we have for being a coffee roasting company, we actually have a pretty complicated business model because, we're sourcing from 14 different countries all over the world. But we also we have many different products. We do coffee, we do cold brew. There's like the distribution varies, cold chain, direct store distribution, all of that. And then we're selling across multiple channels. So we have all different kinds of customers. So it helped us really wrangle all the different areas where we're having an impact that we're aware of or unaware of, and how we could do better. So, and it was powerful, as others have said, joining a global community of like-minded companies in all different sectors, and all that we could learn by being in that community. It's been really, really helpful. So I think we felt really proud. The scores are all public, so you can see our first year we scored an 80. So that's nowhere near where our fellow coffee company, different part of the supply chain, Caravella, did 80 is the minimum. And we were like, yes. And then, but we said we are gonna beat that next time, and we did. I think it went up to 89.7 or something. So we can measure our progress and say, yes, we are getting better. And I would say that it focused it focused on weeding out things that weren't generating impact as well. So where it helped us, I would say, really center in on where our values were, where our core mission is, and align our actions with what's really dear to us as a company.
Thank you. And Stumptown is today in this call, Stumptown is the one company that connects us all. So I wanted to ask you, how can B Corps work together to actually create change, and as collaborative action?
Oh, I love this question because it has been really inspiring to think about that and to take action together. So, I can just give some examples of things the kind of conversations that we're in, or the way that we already do partner. I think that Athena spoke really well to some of the systemic advocacy that we can do on truly systemic issues like climate action. So, being able to join together and at a policy level where, as an individual company, you feel sort of like maybe not that loud, or no one's really paying attention. But if you're joining forces with other companies, particularly if they're companies that you know and respect and work with, it's powerful and it's energizing. So I just want to echo or underscore what Athena spoke to on climate, for example. But we can also get really specific in different parts of our business. So with Caravella, I already highlighted that our very first impact report was with the farmers of El Jordan in Tolima in Colombia. We then really looked to, well, how can we create a way of measuring impact that's replicable across many different origins and many different growing conditions? The coffee world is highly varied. It's very complex depending on where you are in the world, and even regions within specific countries. So once again, we teamed up with Caravella, again in Colombia in a different region, and then also in Nicaragua, to pilot a different impact approach with an independent third-party verifier called Inveritas, that helped us look at questions like, are the farmers that we're sourcing from with Caravella, are they actually doing better than their neighbors? We think that they are. We've seen these results. They tell us that they are. We see the communities change after 3 or 5 years of doing business with them consistently. We see people getting motorcycles and putting new roofs on their houses. We see the schools are full of children. But can we measure this? And indeed, we found metrics that could measure the on-the-ground impact of our sourcing model with Caravella, because we can't do what we do without partners that really provide traceability to farm level. We can't ensure that the money that we're paying makes it back to farmers unless we have very reliable partners who are equally committed to that model, like Caravella. And also, it's all predicated on really delicious, consistent coffees. That's what makes that happen. That is what makes it happen. Farmers need to be compensated for their work. And so we did that with Caravella, and we're able to identify also where our blind spots were, or where the farmers needed more support, for example, related to climate change adaptation. So we partnered with Caravella to put in microclimate monitoring stations in a couple different regions so that the farmers had the data that they needed to really understand what was happening. And then Caravella, with their teams of agronomists in the field, were able to support farmers better. So that's one, that's a multifaceted example of supply chain collaboration that then also helps us report better to B Corp. Like when we look at our certifications, and we can say like, yeah, here's a bunch of data and it's right at our fingertips. So that's really, really helpful. With New Seasons Market, it's been great to collaborate with Athena. And as she said, like we always learn a lot having coffee together and looking at where our impacts are. But specifically, we've honed in on a couple examples. One being the energy sources that we're using here. We're in the same, we happen to be in the same community in Portland, Oregon, and in the kind of outlying region. And we're both very committed to climate action. It's hard to it's hard to change things alone. And one area is on our sources of energy. So natural gas, there aren't a lot of viable options to replace natural gas at scale if you're heating your stores or your headquarters like we are, but we're also roasting with natural gas. Like the vast majority of all coffee roasters, we're roasting with natural gas. And so we have met together and spoken with a couple different organizations and companies to see, hey, what is the potential for renewable natural gas? What can we do? How can we team up and be part of a solution here? Because it doesn't look great right now. Like we need to, and so when you look at systemic change and you look at two, we're not huge companies, but we're nice sized companies, New Seasons and Stumptown here in Portland, being able to say with a united voice, we would love to be part of a solution here. Let us know how we can help. Again, very, very nascent conversations, early stage conversations, but that's an example of identifying common issues that we have and wanting to take action on them, which feels really, really exciting. And I think that with Mir, what strikes me is we are, one of the things, and I know, again, this is something that I've talked to Athena about, and Mir plays into it, the trash of single-use cups and lids in Stumptown's own cafes, in our wholesale customers, and at New Seasons. So New Seasons cafes, all 17 of them, I think, is it 18, 17, Athena, now?
19.
Yep. Wow, 19 cafes. So New Seasons, just for the record, has great cafes and bakeries in all of their stores where you can get a great cup of Stumptown coffee. And so we share the wanting to be really hospitable to all the customers who come in. And as much as we all try to remember our Mir mugs, sometimes they're dirty and get left in the back seat of the car and you walked to the store, sometimes so we're giving people disposable cups and disposable lids, and changing consumer behavior, and then also helping people remember their reusable mugs. It can be tricky. We've set up incentives and have lots of Mir mugs in our cafes for customers to buy, so that and if they get that, if they purchase a mug, they get a free cup of coffee. And also we give 25 cents off any cup of coffee for people who bring their own mugs, or who even just stay and use a ceramic mug, to try to reduce the use of single-use items. We also I tried to find a Mir mug right before this call to have. And because we have them in our lunchroom, because we encourage all of our we have in our roastery, we have to have lids on their mugs. And so sometimes people have grabbed paper cups and lids, but we have a zero waste to landfill by 2025 goal for our manufacturing operations, not our cafes. But for our manufacturing operations, zero waste to landfill by 2025. And so we've stocked up with mirror mugs for our employees to be able to use with the lids on, so that we're not generating single-use trash here in our own cafes. So it is really helpful for all of those reasons to be aligned with fellow B Corps. And on the last note, like with Mirror, it's great for us to be able to sell merch in a customer-facing, that's a very the coffee cup is something that people walk out of your cafe with a mug of coffee, and to be able to have a reliable partner who's doing beautiful mugs and our customers love them. And so there's a brand alignment in kind of the look and feel, but also knowing that what we're putting into customers' hands is coming from a fellow B Corp, that gives a lot of confidence. It gives a lot of confidence, and it's fun. By the way, also, it's cool because then if they go check out the company, there's good news there, and people do. About 34% of our customers are attracted to us because of how we do our business. We just got that information because of our social and environmental and inclusive vibes. So it's important to people, and it's important that we be aligned with like-minded brands.
Well, and hopefully it gets even more important to people and newer generations and everything, because it is important to do business different. So I want to open a space. If any of you have any questions for other B Corps, or if any of you want to add something about being a B Corp.
I would, thank you. I would add just kind of on the question of how to get started, because we have thousands of vendors as a grocery store. We have so many SKUs, so many brands. It's a little overwhelming. And when I came into this space 6.5 years ago, it felt so overwhelming that I sort of didn't know how to start. And, I would say being part of the B Corp community has helped me establish relationships with people, you all, in the community, so that I feel confident to call someone and say, hey, I'm interested in how you're thinking about this thing. Can we talk through it? And you'd be surprised by how frequently those conversations seem to happen in the B Corp community. But what I have started doing in the last few years is just really being opportunistic in some ways. Hearing a story about a rancher who is, using holistic grazing and management, and just calling them to see how we can support, for instance, or a local cheesemaker who's interested in, doing some on-farm work, or, a local coffee roaster who is wanting to tell the story about their carbon-free coffee, and how do we tell our customers about that coffee and about these products. So I guess my advice, my unsolicited advice, is just for people to just start with one person who you know or met at a meeting or heard an interesting story about, because I think that there's so much interest in the community to team up and to create partnerships and to share. It's really, truly been kind of eye-opening in terms of how much people are willing to share and commiserate about how hard this work can be and learn from each other. So I just always like to share that experience, since it's been, really helpful and hopeful also for me and the work that we've been able to do here at New Seasons.
I would love to echo that, and I had initially jotted down some examples of things that we've gone to other B Corps for. The B Corp community is one of those communities that has like totally dissolved all ego. You don't feel like you're competing with any of the other brands in the space, and that you're all working together to achieve shared goals and values. And it's been one of the most productive spaces for learning for us. As Athena said, it can feel really isolating to deal in a lot of these spaces. The first thing that comes to mind is a lot of the climate initiatives and large overarching net zero goals that are constantly changing. And so from stuff like science-aligned targets to creating a private foundation, innovating in the post-consumer or post-industrial recycled content space. I have been able to find and connect with B Corps about all of those things across all those different areas. And it's been a really, really comforting community building space to be in, especially with changing landscapes and regulations and all those things. So if anything, like the internal tool that B Corp provides is really wonderful. That external stamp of approval and validation is also fantastic, but the community that's come along with B Corp certification, especially as it continues to grow and reach new industries, has been, I can't overstate it. It's been, I'm constantly surprised with how willing and open other B Corps are to share their experience and to work together to achieve great things across the supply chain. And also, I'll just call out, not to peddle product, but the Stumptown products that Shauna did mention are some of the most beautiful ones that we've had co-branded before. So I would encourage you to check them out. They're so sweet.
Yeah, what she said, just hit it.
I want to just add one kind of idea with what Athena and Devon mentioned, is that B Corp power, I mean, this is a perfect example of when 1 + 1 = 3. So 10 years ago, there were not a lot of B Corps. It was just kind of starting out there. And I think there's still so much more that we can do together. So I would, my call to action to every B Corp I talk to, every person that even asks me, like, what is B Corp? What is this logo on this bag? Is like, find out about it, buy from other B Corps. Because at the end of the day, the more people realize the impact that B Corps have, and that the more that people speak with their wallets, which at the end is what's going to move and change the world, the bigger the impact that all of these companies will have. So the more they buy Stumptown, the more they buy New Seasons, the more they buy Mir, and the more companies who have that same values, the bigger the impact it will be. So my call to action to everyone who is in love with B Corp is find out more, ask, find a buddy you can ask, and buy from a B Corp, because at the end, that's when I make the world a better place.
Yeah, and that's actually great advice as well when you're getting started, is looking at, do you have certified B Corps that you would purchase from, or that you're already purchasing from, or that you would sell to? Because you're absolutely right. Like, we did that when we did some internal work around mission and vision and values. You know, we looked at a lot of different companies we could work with, and there was one that just that was great for so many reasons. They were great at what they do, and they also happened to be a B Corp. And we were like, well, that tips the scales as well. You know, they have to be, it's like anything else. You have to be really good at what you do. People want quality, whether that's a service or food or beverage or whatever, or a mug, you know, whatever that is. It needs to be good quality, but it really does add another layer when there's this B Corp certification. And I really second what Carlos is saying, like, do business with one another. It also makes the job easier when you're when you're becoming a B Corp, when you're aligned already with fellow B Corps, because you know that they've gone through the rigorous process, and they're sharing ethos that's about something bigger than just making money.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is that B Corps are built upon stories as well, and as you learn more about B Corps and talk to more people related to B Corp, as Athena was saying, you encounter these stories that inspire you to do better job, and also make better consumption decisions. So yeah, I think we've come to the end of this conversation. And what I can get from here is that it is worth the try. It is worth learning more about what makes up B Corp and the stories behind the faces and the products of B Corps.
Isabel, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I also want to say, I guess the piece of advice, the unsolicited advice that I would have, because it is really rigorous, and because, as Carlos pointed out, customers don't always understand it. Like, it's good to reinforce what it is, but they're not going to necessarily always understand it. If a company is interested in being a B Corp, do it because you already are doing things that are important to you, and what B Corp stands for is important to you, and it's a tool to help you. Don't be a B Corp to get the label, because that's just chasing a label. Do it because you want to get better at what you do, because you want to get better at, if impact is important to you, use the tool to get better at impact. That's been really important for us at Stumptown, because we want all of our efforts anywhere to be authentic. We pursue the best coffees in the world and being as the most consistent, delicious, clean, sweet coffees out there, because we love it, right? Like, it's important to us and our customers, right? Like, we don't do that for the external accolades. Of course, we want people to love it. That's like what we're about. But it is who we are as a company. And so really, B Corp is also a tool. It's a set of methodologies to help you get better. And that's, it's helpful in that way. Don't do it just to go for the B. Do it because your impact, social, environmental, business impact is important to you. Because that's what makes it worth it.
And I'll add, the certification is not for the faint of heart. So if you're not already fully committed, it's not very likely that you're going to make it very far. And I'm sure you all experience this to some degree, but there's like a massive culture of certification fatigue, especially, I'm sure, in the coffee industry. There's a variety of different certifications that mean they're like very similar, but like slightly different things. And it can almost overwhelm or like undercut the meaning behind the certification. And B Corp is truly the one that we stand behind the most. It's the one with the most rigor, that encompasses the largest like swath of information. And so just know that I would venture to say that if a company does have B Corp certification, that they probably already live out some of those values, because it is a very rigorous and very extensive certification process, and you can trust that there's actually some meaning and action behind it, whereas some other certifications might just be for those accolades, if that makes sense.
It's unrealistic to change your business overnight. You have to have some basis, some values, some things that you have already been doing, and B Corp is a matter of measuring it to become better.